Hello and welcome to The Bottom Line here on TVP World. This is where we unpack some of the main business and economic stories of the day. I'm your host, Marie Katia. Today is a big day for entrepreneurs looking to invest in Ukraine. The Polish Development Fund, together with a couple other institutions, has launched Team Poland, a one-stop shop for businesses seeking help and capital as they ponder entering the Ukrainian market. Jan Kendi tells us more in his report.
Despite Russia's full-scale invasion, which has raged on in Ukraine for over 3 years, the war-torn country continues to attract substantial investment. Poland has been key to this effort, and its interest is continuing to grow. To facilitate further expansion, the Polish Development Fund has launched a new initiative aimed at providing companies with a streamlined one-stop expansion hub. Team Poland.
The goal of this initiative is to create a permanent, scalable structure that will enable Polish companies and entrepreneurs to expand effectively into the most important emerging and developing markets.
According to the Minister of State Assets, the initiative is aimed at leveling the playing field for Polish companies, as well as limiting the risks associated with foreign expansion.
It will be de-risking, reducing the risks of doing business across several areas. We're talking about political risk, capital investment risk, and the ability to verify business partners.
2,600 Polish companies are already operating in Ukraine, with several advantages at play. That's why the CEO of Polish Development Fund's investment arm, which supports Polish business expansion, believes now is the right time to act.
All hope believe that it will be sooner rather than later, will open up for international competitions. Polish companies, they do have an advantage because of the proximity. And as I said at the beginning, they are already present there, they cooperate with Ukrainian companies, so for them it's easier to take this first mover's advantage.
With the World Bank valuing Ukraine's post-war reconstruction at $500 billion, much work lies ahead for construction companies and those involved in rebuilding the destroyed energy sector. But expansion opportunities go far beyond these industries.
Logistics mean not only roads, because this is those investments are performed by the country, it's sovereign financing. But with the logistics means magazines, for example, there is a huge gap behind our east border with them, and I think also the big need.
Monday's launch is no coincidence. It comes ahead of the annual Rebuild Ukraine conference, where Team Poland will be presented next week.
The Polish Development Fund was created to boost long-term investment in Poland and support the Polish economy, also by helping Polish businesses expand abroad. But Ukraine is a risky bid, as evidenced by the attacks we've seen in recent weeks. To tell us more about Team Poland, we are joined by Piotr Matczuk, CEO of the Polish Development Fund. Hello and thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon. Hello.
So 6 institutions create the Team Poland umbrella. So apart from the Polish Development Fund, we have the Industry Development Agency, the Polish Entrepreneurship Agency, Export Credit Insurance Corporation, and more. So let's start by telling us how you will work together to move this incentive forward.
Well, thank you very much for this question. It's very important actually for the Polish business sector to understand how do we work as a group together. So the cooperation of the PFR group, of the so-called PFR group, which is an umbrella institution full of the development institutions in Poland, started a couple of years ago, but only a year ago we started to kind of produce synergies out of the system. So we cooperate together because we offer a very differentiated range of products, starting from equity, through debt, through insurance products, as well as the advisory that is provided by PAIH to the companies going into another countries. So Team Poland is launched just ahead of the Ukrainian Recovery Conference that starts in about 3 days, that will be, of course, visiting too. And it was for us very important to launch it today because we can demonstrate to the Polish entrepreneurs as well as to our colleagues from all other countries of Europe and all across the world that Polish system is very much behind supporting Polish companies going actively into reconstruction Ukraine.
Businesses complain that when it comes to investing in Ukraine, there was a gap, a lack of a one-stop shop. So what is it that you're going to offer that's different and new now?
Well, until now, all of the institutions were a little bit siloed. So all of them offered a very broad range of products, but these products were very often offered in an uncoordinated way. So what we do with Team Poland is that we want to have them rightly taken care of. And we would like businesses to see products rather than siloed institutions.
So what is it that you will do when a business entrepreneur comes to you and
Yes.
says, I'd like to invest in Ukraine?
Well, that's a very good question. So the entire product is work in progress in a way. So first of all, we would like to offer some automated tools for the entrepreneur to see the offer behind the institutions. So there is already like a dedicated web page, a dedicated call center that the entrepreneurs can use to see the range of products that we can offer. But secondly, in the second line, we would work on sort of a joint customer care team that will take care about the entrepreneurs throughout the entire cooperation cycle with all of the institutions that will be working with the entrepreneur.
What if a business sets up in Ukraine and realizes that they want to pull out, that it isn't working for them? Will you actually assist them with that process of pulling out as well? Or do you assume everyone who sets up in Ukraine will want to stay there?
Well, first of all, we would like to see successful businesses, and we would do everything we can do to make it successful. And we also believe that engagement of the Polish development system and all of the institutions will provide a little bit of safety in the riskier market like Ukraine. So we would be very happy to support it with equity products, with debt products, and also with some insurance products that would provide some comfort to the businesses to go into the country.
So essentially, Team Poland will act as a sort of intermediary for the business that is wanting to set up in Ukraine, and actually that moment of actually setting up and being a running operational business.
So I would say we are, so the developmental institutions, I mean, they can provide very different products to very different types of entrepreneurs. So we can work with an entrepreneur that is already present in Ukraine, that we can easily do. But secondly, we can always work with a company that only considers working in Ukraine and taking part, for example, in procurement processes that take place in Ukraine. We can help with that. We've got like a very good relationship with all of the international institutions, for example, that provide procurement services and procurement opportunities for the businesses. So we can join the business for successfully going through the procurement process, for example, and then finalizing it with a good sort of contract that would be...
So businesses at any stage, basically?
Yes.
That's great. And would you say that businesses are actually keen on investing in Ukraine, or is this initiative about encouraging businesses to invest in Ukraine?
So this is a part of a longer story, if you like. So first of all, for the last 30 years, Polish businesses were mostly focused on sort of accumulating capital. Now it's probably the time that they can be more active and more eager to go abroad. And Ukraine is only one market they can test with the help of a Polish development system. Historically, Polish businesses were quite active in Ukraine. And I think we are right now the 10th largest investor in terms of capex investments in Ukraine, with almost $800 million of investments accumulated. So what we want to do, because now there is an increased international activity around Ukraine, what we want to do, we just want to have the Polish entrepreneur feeling in the same way as they colleagues from abroad feel.
How do colleagues from abroad? Supported. Okay. Would you say that this is the right time for businesses to invest in Ukraine when it's clear that there's an escalation of Russian attacks?
Well, that's a very good question. So I think that, the proper time to invest for an average entrepreneur, so to say, would be when there is some sort of a ceasefire, and then when the war is no more escalating. However, you need to start the business as soon as possible to be effective when everything starts. So Polish companies need to be engaged as early as possible.
So you're basically saying this is a war-torn country with Russia attacking pretty much every day, but let's set up a business, we'll help you invest your money.
Let's consider setting up a business at least, and then let's find the ways that we can support you, or let's identify opportunities that we can start as soon as possible once the war is over or it's on the ceasefire. But in the meantime, we also have examples of companies that go into the country right now. Last year, we supported, as a group, we supported the Polish company Ełwik, that is an IT company, in their attempt to consolidate a part of the Ukrainian IT market. And we did this with, let's say, classic investment equity product with the support of an insurance product from our insurance agency, KUKA. So it's happening anyways.
I have no doubt that it's happening.
Yes.
It's just that we're looking at a very high risk, if not basically outright dangerous landscape. So it's almost counterintuitive to say to a first-time business, let's go into this landscape. This is the best place for you to invest your money, because there was a case last summer where Unibep and Budimex were, there was an opportunity for them to build a motorway between Poland and Ukraine, and they basically said, no, we don't want to get involved in this business because it's way too high risk for us, and they turned down this offer. So I think there is this narrative that Ukraine is a great place for Poland to invest in because of geographical proximity, there's a cultural understanding, etc., many factors that give Poland an advantage. But actually it's an incredibly high risk and dangerous landscape, essentially. And at the moment there's no sight of peace or ceasefire at the moment.
No, I very much agree. I mean, but then you need to see that there are different sectors in place. So heavy infrastructure like motorways is a problematic sector in case of, let's say, outright war and the missiles coming into the country. But then if you look, for example, in the IT sector, that is actually a very significant part of the Ukrainian economy, with much less of tangible assets involved, then you can consider some sort of a support already now.
Team Poland is heading east, as we see. Ukraine is your number one, stage one step, but Finance Minister Andrzej Domański has made it clear that you want to move on to the Balkans and Asia. What is your vision over there?
Well, first of all, we see Team Poland for Ukraine, so the initiative that we launched just today, we see as a laboratory, in a way, how to work with Polish companies in some other regions or some other also sectors, because we don't see the only opportunity to go through geographies, but we would very much be interested also to look at specific sectors that are important for the Polish economy. So it is in a laboratory in a way that we would, let's say, prepare well to do to support the companies. We will test this support, and then we can launch Team Poland, but under different sort of sectoral or geographic aspects in different countries, in different sectors. So we can focus the synergies coming from the development institutions on very specific areas that are important for the Polish economy, Polish entrepreneurs, and that where we can actually provide a tangible support.
But does this suggest that the West is saturated when it comes to Poland, or is the West too challenging for Poland to compete there?
No, not at all. I mean, we would see it, so Polish entrepreneurs historically, I mean, as I said, the last 30 years was mostly about the capital accumulation. So now we are eager to support Polish companies going to different geographies. So we would not be focused only on the east or on the south. We would be very flexible in terms of geographies taken into consideration. And actually the tools that we've been using right now, because we're doing this support, at the Polish Development Fund, we've got the Foreign Expansion Fund, which is now, there's almost 200 million euro invested already across different geographies worldwide, including the US, including European Union, Romania, Finland, and Ukraine. So we would we wouldn't be, it's probably for early to us to super strongly focus in terms of kind of product distribution by geographies. We need to be very sort of flexible to be able to provide support to different geographies. But where possible, we would be even more focused, and Ukraine is a very good example.
We have 2,600 operational Polish businesses in Ukraine, as Jakub Jabrowski, Poland's Minister for State Assets, noted during today's press conference. That sounds like a big, impressive number. I wanted to ask, how many of these businesses are Polish businesses and how many of these businesses are actually Ukrainian businesses that are registered in Poland?
Well, I don't know the specific statistics that was brought by Minister Jaworowski earlier today, but I would say that Polish companies, so maybe I would stick to the statistic that I brought a little bit earlier in our conversation. So we are the 10th largest investor by capex historically in Ukraine, which is a good result, I would say, because Polish companies are not that involved in terms of capex expansion all across the world. We are just slightly too small. We are just at the beginning of exporting capital. So it's not a bad result for the Polish economy, like our existence of our companies in Ukraine. But we do see a lot of opportunities. And this geographic proximity that you mentioned is an important factor because in a way, any sort of logistics support or any sort of, let's say, the geographic proximity and the flows of goods. It is something that needs to be taken into account for the benefit of the Polish economy. Just to give you an example, the Polish Development Fund is also invested in Baltic Hub, which is the largest container terminal in the Baltic Sea. We are a minority shareholder, a financial shareholder, but at the same time, it's a very important asset in our portfolio. And after the Russian invasion on Ukraine, we've seen quite a significant rise in the exchange going through terminal, for example, which shows you the geographic importance of Poland for the Ukrainian economy.
And just very briefly, as we wrap up, how will Poland's economy benefit from Team Poland? I mean, obviously, we don't know the results of this endeavor, but I'm sure you've done some calculations and forecasts, if all goes to plan.
So I don't think that you can directly link it to statistics or to the KPIs and, let's say, count it properly. I think that it's very important for Polish companies to feel safe when they go abroad, and this is the role of the developmental system or development institutions in Poland. So we do see in general, we do see a lot of benefits in foreign expansion and foreign presence of the companies. This is a driver of innovation, and this is the driver of sort of activity and creative thinking at the company's level. So we do see a very important role of going abroad. But here in Ukraine, I think it's geographic proximity, it's sort of natural and also language proximity for the Polish companies, the understanding that is there between both nations and the sort of similarities in terms of everyday thinking. This would be a natural market for Polish and Ukrainian companies to work together.
Piotr Matczuk, CEO of the Polish Development Fund, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And that concludes The Bottom Line for today. I was your host, Marie Cato. We bring you the best of regional business Monday to Friday at 5:10 CET on TVP World. And in the meantime, for the latest in regional business, follow us on X and on tvpworld.com.